Rivers. I'm Matthew Cox. The other guy is Jim Root. The other guy is Kai McKeon. It's hump day. Conference tournament action is well underway. And folks, on the outline, I feel bad. I kind of gave him the old blind eye, Kai, but I wanted to make your life easier. Or Jim, whoever's going to be chat mob czar today. Save all Kai with his hand raised as a lovely volunteer. We'll do all those. Then the chat mob section, we got a little bit of an SEC to start us off. Then some Big East, a couple of Big 12 games. But hey, if you're looking to bet conference tournaments, you need to promote this phenomenal special that BetRivers is putting on right now. 20% profit boost, folks. 20%. This ends tomorrow. So today and tomorrow, your last chance to log in, BetRivers account, 20% profit boost on any NCAA bet you place. And also make sure you have this tagged coming up this weekend, starting on March 7th. 20% profit boost on every day of a conference tournament. And yes, we'll be hitting those in detail throughout the week, but also next week, they get into full swing. All right. House cleaning over. Kai, Jim, did we learn anything last night? Jim, going to you first. You are currently sitting in a beautiful executive suite in Circa Sportsbook, Las Vegas. How are you?
I am, yeah. Live from Circa. I can look out. I can see the pool at Stadium Swim. It's calling my name in about an hour and a half, Matthew. Very excited about that. Last night, I learned that Wisconsin and Providence still got a little juice to them. And you know what? The most important thing about them, and Greg Waddell tweeted this, our producer tweeted it about Providence, they're just fun as hell to watch. Both teams are involved in great games time after time. The Badgers won on 2 different bank shots in the final 20 seconds. That is absolutely ridiculous, but they won the Big Ten. Providence won the Big East. You got to tip your cap, Kai. I just got to do
it. Jared Bynum, he has completely changed his game from his previous seasons. He is an absolute star turning into, guys, a guy who can be that point guard, that famous guard who always leads his team in a tournament setting. But Jim, I'm still kind of sticking to my guns. I don't think Providence is sitting past the first weekend. But they did play a game yesterday against Villanova. Takeaways yesterday, Matt, I don't have a whole lot, but hey, Kansas went down to TCU. Love that the Frogs are super locked into my tournament. Jamie Dixon has done a great job there. Pretty good roster too. So congrats to TCU.
Hey, great takeaways. I have nothing else to add. Be a lot of action today. Let's get right into it here. Going to SEC country to start us off. Kai, you're going to kick off the coverage. Arkansas hosting LSU. Bud Walden, we've discussed at length how awesome Pick Suey has been at home, but they've been just good on the road. They've just been awesome in general since that inflection point in their season. They are laying 5.5 to the LSU Tigers, who are playing better. They are healthier currently. Tough handicap for me. I think this line feels pretty sharp, just given the way Arkansas is playing and the way LSU is trending. Do you have any edge here on the side and or total?
My first reaction was the spread felt pretty big. Arkansas at home is no joke. They're 12-2 against the spread their last 14 games, and they should be 13-1 with Kentucky banked 3 kind of spoiling one of those. LSU, not as great on the road. 7 losses. 7 of their 9 losses have come on the road. 5-5 against the spread there. Arkansas won game 1, Matt, but there was no Pinson in that game. It was an ugly game, low scoring, 35 turnovers combined. LSU's offense is still awful, but with Pinson back in the fold fully, he improves it so much. Scoring, ball handling, absolutely huge. Jim, LSU's defense have been foul machines in league play, which I was shocked by. I thought they were locking it down. They're really not. And they've been weak on the glass. Arkansas, I think, could take advantage of that. It's just a bit too high for me to lay the points with Arkansas, even though I lean them at Bud Walton.
Yeah, before I saw a number, I was like, okay, I don't trust LSU on the road, Arkansas at home, boom, let's hammer the Razorbacks. But I saw the number, I thought about it a little more. Arkansas is coming off the big home Kentucky win. That's the emotional court rush. Could be a slight letdown after that. And the number feels big. And Matt, we got the old road flip-flop here. Arkansas won on the road. Kai, you mentioned no Pinson in that one. I think that is vital. Getting him back. I mean, their offense without him is kind of a joke. I'm leaning towards the under and the dog here. I have not bet either side, but that's kind of what jumps out to me in the class.
Yeah, I mean, just to simplify this handicap, do you guys think Arkansas and LSU are equals on a neutral in general, or do you think Arkansas is a slightly better team at this point?
I think Arkansas is better.
Okay, I think so too.
Not too high.
Right, and I think the Bud Walton home court is worthy of a full traditional 4, even 5 point, valuation there. I'm staying away. Again, I think maybe you bought the hook to find the mob. I know there's a few in there who devoutly believe that buying the hook is a worthy endeavor at the right time. Kai and Jim disagree. Again, we will believe that
college basketball. It's not.
It is at the right numbers. It is. Hey, next game, Jim. SEC country. We're staying there. Stark Vegas. We're headed to Mississippi State hosting Auburn. Speaking of teams with two different Jekyll and Hyde sort of personas, regardless of where they play, home, road. Mississippi State been much, much better on their home floor this year. Auburn the same way, but Auburn going to Stark Vegas in this one. Short spread. It's a situation we've seen Auburn a few times this season where they're a short road favorite. They have not been nearly as dominant in those spots. Again, desperate Mississippi State team with, I guess, maybe an outside shot and an at-large bid here if they get this win. Is that as reach, big time Hail Mary reach?
I think
they need it tonight. So
they've won one road game is nearly an eliminator for them. But they are 10-6 against the spread at home. You mentioned that they're a solid home team. It's pretty solid. And Auburn's last 5 road games are 3 outright losses and non-covers at Georgia and at Mizzou. They've been poor on the road. Part of me wants to say, okay, Auburn off the loss. They've been hearing all this talk about how they stink on the road. They're actually going to bring a top shelf performance, but I just don't like the spot with the road and home splits for both these teams. Kai, the SEC has been one of the few leagues where home has really, really been important. And Mississippi State's been one of those teams, and Auburn, same opposite on the road. So I am staying away here from this one. If I had to bet it gun to head, it would be the Tigers, but that's about it.
Yeah, Auburn's 3-7 record against the spread on the road is concerning. And we know what they've done the last 5 games. Lost 3 outright, last 3. Beat Mizzou, beat Georgia barely. It's not pretty on the road. However, Matt, I think this is where they turn it around. I think it's where they kind of snap out of their funk. They're way too talented. And frankly, they have a lot of advantages over Mississippi State. Mississippi State can't shoot. They're dead last in the SEC in 3-point percentage. They're dead last in 3-point attempt rate. And you cannot score against Auburn inside. You absolutely cannot do it. So I lean towards Auburn here at -4, whatever it's gotten up to currently.
It's a great matchup point, folks. I like that one.
Yeah, I'm sort of buying into the Mississippi State hype home spot in a desperate situation, although you guys mentioned it really is an outside shot that they can squeeze into the tournament. Mentally, I'm sure they're not thinking about that. I kind of have the feeling that Iverson Molinar just goes completely ballistic in this game, especially if it sort of opens up into more of a up and down affair, little helter-skelter. He's a guy that can just go for 40 if he starts feeling himself. And certainly at home, he'll be primed and ready to rock.
One more point. There's been speculation on this here network that maybe Ben Howland will be out of a job after this year. So either that increases the desperation or it gives them a little bit of dead man walking aspect. I mean, he's 0 tournament wins in 7 years there with talent. There's a chance that maybe he'll be packing his bags.
Yeah, we'll see. I tend to think that's more lame duck than like win one for the Gipper, Jim. So, but hey, again, no evidence or no data to back that up. Just my own personal anecdotal take. All right, game number 3, Big Ten country. Kai headed to my alma mater, Bloomington Assembly Hall, where Indiana will be hosting Rutgers. Spread open -4.5 to mid up to 5. Part of me thinks it's a little bit cheap to bet a hype home Indiana team here, but Rutgers has been playing well, and I know that they've been much better at the rack, but they've been playing pretty well outside of Jersey there. You have an angle on this game. Should be ugly, right? Kind of battle of the bruising front courts.
Yeah, and some motivation too. Indiana's still in bubble territory. Rutgers has a lot more work to do. Not sure if they can quite get there. We'll see. But they're right next to each other in the Big Ten standings. So there is Big Ten tournament seeding implications here. Matt, at home, Indiana, 12-5 against the spread. They're very good this season at home. Rutgers is still 4-8 against the spread on the road. They have been playing better. I think Rob Phinisee coming back last game is huge. Came off the bench, 8 points in 9 minutes, I think. I mean, he clearly matters for this team. I'm not sure if Galloway's back.
I want to archive that take from Kai there and just play it on repeat someday.
I was going to say the same thing, Matt. So you're going to get a second soundbite there.
Well, Matt, when your point guard is Xavier Johnson, Rob Phinisee matters.
Sorry. I thought you were done. Go ahead.
No. Indiana's interior defense is too tough. They're an excellent shot blocking team. They can control the paint and force Rutgers to be shooters, which they can shoot. It's just not really their game, though. I think it's Indiana's game at -5. I think they win. Jim, I think they cover too.
I'm with you. Matt, do you know my best bet here?
No, I don't need to pay attention to your best bet, Jim. I'm not privy to that.
Under. They win more than yours, so you should start listening.
Wow.
I'm taking the under. Indiana, Rutgers. Kai, you mentioned the interior defense for Indiana. I think that's huge. Rutgers doesn't like shooting threes. Very low 3-point attempt rate, like 318th in the country. Indiana's got that great rim defense. Xavier Johnson's been awesome the last two. We should at least acknowledge that. He's got 48 points combined. He's 7 for 9 from deep in the last two. I personally think that's fluke city, not some sort of page being turned. And I was going to probably be guarded by Caleb McConnell, who was just named a finalist for National Defensive Player of the Year. One of the few perimeter guys named there. I think he's going to swallow Johnson whole. I think that's bad for the total. So under, yeah, I like the under. Lean towards IU with Tennessee back as well, but under 132.
Yeah, I would like even more Jim if Gallo was playing for IU. I think he's regarded as their best perimeter defender, although Big Shot Bob can certainly lock up as well. He had that de facto stopper role in prior years. So having him back, I think, is huge for Indiana on both ends. And he sort of acts as like an insurance policy to Xavier Johnson, who we all agree, like this 2-game run isn't like the start of a consistent upward surge. It's just the Xavier Johnson we've always known since he's been a freshman at Pitt. He's going to play 2 good games. He'll play 2 bad ones. He's up and down, left and right. Obviously at home, I think he's more likely to continue that streak tonight, Kai, but don't believe in this Indiana team because Xavier Johnson's all of a sudden becoming like an awesome point guard. I think this is just going to have to be the turbulence that you ride if you're back in Indiana down the stretch. You got to pick your spots, I think, selectively with this squad. Next game here, headed out to Jim's neck of the woods, UNLV, the Running Rebs hosting Wyoming. A team that was uber frustrating for the boys who backed them last game against San Diego State. Some questionable coaching schematic game plan from a guy, Jeff Linder, that we love, Jim. I know we were banging our heads against the wall watching that. But hey, the Rebs are hot. It's certainly a team I don't want to fade. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, Matt, Wyoming, shot quality had that game as a Wyoming 7-point win. Yep. I think that was indicative of my eye test watching it. But yeah, Wyoming just kept going at Nathan Mensah over and over again, the best defensive player in that conference probably. We don't need to do that. Maybe take advantage of better matchups. That would be my proposal for Mr. Linder. I was a little surprised to see Wyoming as a dog here. I've been to the last 2 UNLV home games against Colorado State, against Boise. They won one of them. They were feisty in the other, but then got kind of a knockout punch late from Boise over this weekend. Kai, I'm still leaning towards Wyoming here. I think they can get some real matchup advantages. This is not a good post defense in UNLV. So I think both Ike and Maldonado have beneficial matchups here. They're going to really struggle to guard Bryce Hamilton. 1v1 scores. We saw what Matt Bradley did to them, to this Wyoming defense. So Hamilton will probably have 30, but I think Wyoming can outscore him here.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see Wyoming's dog, frankly. They're both coming off a loss here. Boise took down UNLV. San Diego State played incredible, beat Wyoming. Wyoming, I guess, hasn't been great in the last 5 games, just 2-3 straight up and against the number. And UNLV 7-2 against the spread the last 9, certainly surging here. I think there's a tough matchup, Jim. You mentioned it. Ike and Maldonado should destroy them in the paint. I think it's a very, very big mismatch for them. Hamilton could do Hamilton things, Matt, but I think the matchup heavily favors the Pokes here.
I think I agree with that. The price is right. And I've had UNLV rated pretty highly for most of the season. So I'm probably, it seems like I've missed a lot of this hot run. I just sort of ignored my number because I didn't trust this team. And sure, and when you know it, they all of a sudden are right 7-2 their last 9 games against the spread. I believe someone was mentioning on Field of 68 After Dark show that Lon Kruger has been around the program quite a bit recently. So there's some probably puppeteering behind the strings from one of the great game plan devisers for my money back to his Oklahoma days, and obviously UNLV and many other places before that. Concludes the outline part 1. It's time for mob inquiries, Mr. McKeon. Let's kick it off.
Let's kick it off with a couple Conference USA questions, guys. Middle Tennessee has been a topic of conversation in the chat, and they're a short favorite on the road at Charlotte, -2. Jim, what do you think?
Man, it's close to auto bet Middle Tennessee, isn't it? Right? They're like 21-5 against the spread. It doesn't feel fun going against them. I'm close to making them a best bet, but especially with Musa Jallow still out for Charlotte, I think he actually matters a little bit for them on the defensive end. But I'm not quite gonna get there. But man, Middle Tennessee is fun to bet on. That's for sure.
Yep, they are.
Matthew, Western Kentucky, same spread. This time they're at Marshall though, -2 in favor of the Hilltoppers. What do you think?
Yeah, I certainly lean Western Kentucky. I was on them last game and terrible injury revelation right before tip-off without Jarius Hamilton and Luke Frampton. I apologize. I don't have the updates on their status. Cannot bet this team without knowing those dudes. It's not a very deep team, 348th in bench minutes per KenPom. So any player who is out, especially for a top-heavy talent team, certainly means something. So stay away until you have info on those dudes.
All right. Next one is Fondell, Miami, Boston College. Jim, any lean in this game?
Yeah, I lean towards Miami. They've got a little more to play for. Boston College, I like as like a bigger underdog, and it's only 4 points here. That's probably an accurate spread, to be honest. So I'm not betting it, but I think just Miami's bubble situation and they're just a little better than this Boston College team. So I don't have a great detailed analysis, but I lean Miami.
Matt, we got a twofer from Harry. I will give you Davidson. They are playing today against George Mason, and they are a 7-point favorite.
I think it's about right. No strong play for me in general. Just these late games right before conference tournament action starts, especially with teams that you can argue, are they motivated? Are they resting, recovering? I mean, Davidson without Foster Lawyer, it just doesn't matter. I think that'll catch up to him at some point. I wonder if this is the game when it does. I don't know, Jim. What do you think?
That's chat. You don't need my opinion.
Okay, fine. Kai, back to you.
Jim, you get Wake Forest -10 against NC State.
This one plays in my head very similar to Virginia Tech and Louisville last night, where, man, this seems high, but I think NC State's got a weird coaching situation, maybe some quit factor to them. They've been really bad in the ACC, and Wake Forest has bubble implications to play for, and blowing teams out is very beneficial to them, just like it was for Virginia Tech. So I would lean towards the Deeks.
All right. We have another question here from Andrew. He asks about Fordham and UMass. Matt, I know you love betting on UMass. Are you going to take him against Fordham here at home, -4 UMass, after they announced they were firing Matt McCall?
Yeah, and these two teams just played. Fordham ran away in the second half. That game in the Bronx. Now they go to Amherst. I believe that game closed -2. So now it's UMass -4. I don't know. Don't bet UMass. Like all that BS nonsense. Just don't bet UMass. I'm not saying bet Fordham. Just don't bet UMass.
Yeah, I have an inkling to maybe hit the under. It's like 3 points higher than it was 2 days ago, the total, after that game went over. But UMass is not a fun under team because they don't play defense.
Hampton, High Point. This is a very popular question in the chat here. Jim, opinion on this one and Big South matchup, conference tournament.
Yeah, High Point's been not as good away from home. That's really been like their calling card. They're almost like an SEC team in that regard, where they're just their best performances are all at home. But I don't really trust Hampton either, Kai. I think if I had to bet it, it would be the Pirates. I'd take the points in a conference tournament game here, but I'm not like jazzed about that idea.
Wait, this game is at Bojangles Coliseum, baby. Let's make sure we underscore that, just because I love the name Bojangles Coliseum.
Yep, the whole tournament's there. Yep.
Hey, going to the OVC for a little tournament action. Speaking of tournament action, SIU Edwardsville, Matthew, is +4 against Tennessee State on a neutral. I think you wrote the OVC preview for Action Network, so this is right in your wheelhouse, man.
I did. I'm on Tennessee State, but I got in at 3 because I'm super sharp, as my 40% best bet record indicates. But now it's up to -4. I think a first half wager on the Nashville-based Tigers is a pretty good line here. They're playing a lot better. I think they covered every single game in February except the 2 against Belmont. So against the have-nots of this league, I think Tennessee State's a pretty good bet.
You know, something you didn't mention, Matt, Rayshon Taylor still gone from SIU Edwardsville.
Yeah, he's been out for like a month now. I think
that's crazy. I think that's the biggest angle here. They just aren't a good team without him. Jim, Stephen F. Austin, +6 at New Mexico State. Can we get our Aggies to win the WAC for us, please? That'd be great.
Yeah, I would love it. I mean, hey, we're both, I think we both have maybe a small taste on SFA as well, but the key threat is Seattle. They've got 4 losses. They're only playing Chicago State. So they're going to have 4 losses. We need New Mexico State to get home here. Johnny McCants missed last game because he woke up violently ill. I'm hoping that 4 days has been enough for him to be able to get out of bed and play basketball, but keep an eye on the lineup there because they need him back. Mario McKinney's also suspended for unclear reasons, but McCants is the big one.
All right, last one before we go back to the mob here. Campbell and Presbyterian, Matthew, we're going back to Bojangles. Specific question about the under. Do you have any lean on that? You can give me a spread lean as well. Spread is 5 currently in favor of the Camels.
Nope, I'm actually on the over. I got bet up from 122 to 125. I've had both teams tagged as over teams the last few weeks. I know anecdotally they are slow, grinded out affairs. I think the first game played super low possessions, but it's a low total. And I think there's more of an efficiency upside to this over. I wouldn't bet it at 125 though. I also did bet Campbell on the side, Mr. McKeon. It's a lot of action at Bojangles for Matthew.
Hey, Big South is a nice conference to bet on here.
But it's a good, I think it's a good under tournament. So good. That spooked me off taking the over, Matt, because my numbers indicated the same.
All right. Back to the host here. We got Connecticut and Creighton on deck. Set us up.
Let's do it. Jim, Big East action. I'm going to you for this one. I mean, the obvious thing to talk about here with Creighton is what they are without Ryan Nembhard, the heart and soul of that backcourt.
I got some data for you there, Matthew.
Good. Let's right now hit it.
All right. Well, per raw numbers, per Hoop Lens, they're +7 per 100 with him on the court. They are -12 per 100 without him. Per Hoop Explorer, the adjusted for competition numbers, +13 with him, -1 without him. They are not a good team without Ryan Nembhard. They don't have a point guard. I think that really shows up against the UConn defense. It's physical, forces you to take tough shots. However, Kai, laying 4.5 on the road with Danny Hurley and the potential that he gets another technical and all that kind of jazz with them makes me nervous. And Creighton has a terrific rim defense, and UConn loves to score in the paint. So I'm leaning towards UConn, but just a little bit spooked by them as a road favorite.
They're kind of rolling right now, but not against the spread. 5 straight wins, 6-1 last 7 straight up, 2-5 against the spread in that span. So Connecticut's not covering games here, which went against my perception. I thought they were rolling on all cylinders. I cannot back Creighton without Ryan Nembhard, Matthew. It is so vital to this team to have him running point. Disaster against Providence. The on-off numbers are crazy with him per Hoop Explorer. He could be worth like 10 points to the line, Matt. I wouldn't be surprised. And Creighton also beat UConn on the road earlier this season. It sets up very well for UConn in this spot here. Can't count on the Huskies going 32% inside the arc and 23% again from 3. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I lean towards UConn here.
I do too. That's what my gut says. And you're getting an extra point of value now going against the early market steam. But yes, as some folks in the chat are pointing out, the sharps, quote unquote, are apparently on Creighton here. I think UConn's a pretty good bet. It's no bargain at -4 on the road against a team that has historically a very, very strong home court in this conference. But yeah, that's the right side, in my opinion. But no bet for me, just to be clear. It's nothing official. We're staying in the Big East for this next one, going back to the Northeast corridor. Kai, St. John's hosting Xavier. Johnny's been a lot better as of late. Xavier, obviously that mini tailspin, they're sort of up against it now at this point in the season. I don't really have a ton of matchup angles here. Nate Johnson, I believe, is a game time decision tonight, so he could be back for the X-Men, a team that lacks depth. I think we all agree with. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
He's incredibly important, Nate Johnson. They're 0-4 without him in the lineup. I think he will return tonight. At least I hope he does for Xavier's sake. He
practiced yesterday. It sounds like he's going to play.
Xavier's 4-13 against the spread in conference play. That's staggering. They're so poor right now, and it's a Travis Steele thing he's done the last 3 years. They lost 4 straight outright without Johnson. They're 1-6 in their last 7. They're falling close to that bubble. But Jim, if they win tonight, it's a Q1 win at St. John's, and they have Georgetown at home to finish it up and get to 9-10 in the Big East here. The Johnnies beat Xavier in Cincy by 13 in the first game, and there was no Nate Johnson in that game as well. And Xavier was 20% from 3. I think Xavier comes out to play here, especially if Johnson's in the lineup. I probably wouldn't touch him without him. They have plenty of ball handling to combat the Johnnies' pressure. So I lean towards Xavier if Johnson's in there.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's like that important for them. Kind of gives them the added boost offensively, more spacing. The shooting just hasn't been great without him. St. John's also has the weird dynamic going on with Posh Alexander, where they've been benching him and bringing not playing him big minutes. This guy was supposed to be maybe an All-American candidate coming in as a sophomore, Big East Defensive Player of the Year last season. I don't really understand what's going on there. So Kai, if I had to bet, it'd be Creighton, it'd be Xavier getting the road revenge. But neither one of these teams are high on my trust rankings right now. So with Johnson, maybe it's X, but no thanks.
Yeah, Joe, it's funny that he only played 25 minutes, Xavier, on February 16th. He played over 30 the last 2, but I mean, both were losses, games they probably should have won at home against Creighton and on the road against DePaul, although DePaul was much healthier than we've seen them recently. So I guess we probably can give them a slight pass for that. Nothing else here for me. Speaking of DePaul, Kai, our Demons, nice. Chicago's Big East team, they've won 2 in a row. Look out, the Demons are 5-13 in the Big East. About to lap Georgetown at this pace. Pretty sad, but just sorry, Georgetown fans. That's where your basketball program is at this point. Got David Jones back last game. Javon Freeman Liberty has been a nuclear fireball. I believe he's played in 5 straight now. So this looks like the DePaul team that we were sort of excited about in the non-conference. They were feisty for a good chunk of conference play, even without key players. I like this team. It's a short spread, though, against a Marquette team that's good and not making a very far travel from Milwaukee.
Oh,
Kai.
she kicked in me.
Kai,
Thank
you're
you.
up. Chat mobs, any thoughts?
Listen better, Matthew. I mean, Kai, not Matthew.
You're fine. You're fine.
Hey, I'm going to give a hat tip real quick to DePaul for staying competitive all season. Hat tip DePaul. 7-2 against the spread last 9. They're dangerous. They're kind of a dangerous team.
They play hard. They play hard.
Marquette's in a bit of a lull here. They haven't covered in 5 straight games. Marquette won this first game by 11 in Milwaukee. No Onginda in that game for DePaul. Marquette just couldn't be stopped. They scored at will. I think DePaul can win this game, Jim. I think +2 is kind of a bargain here for the Demons. They're tough. They're very athletic, and they can destroy Marquette on the glass, stand up to their more athletic wings, where most teams cannot. So I like DePaul here +2.
Yeah, I'd love 3, but I'm with you in a DePaul lean. Like last game was the first one in a little while that they had both David Jones and Freeman Liberty full go, and they won at St. John's. Like that's what they can do when they have those 2 best players out there. The transition attack is lethal when those guys are linking up. So yeah, I'm kind of with you on DePaul. Marquette, again, I like them much better as a dog, but their value got inflated. That's why they haven't covered 5 in a row. That's a little bit of a concern for them. Leaning towards the Blue Demons, as crazy as that sounds.
Shouts to who matched? Oh yeah, Ryan N in the chat. Yorane, our guy, who we were like real excited about. I think coming into the season, last 2 games, 11 points, 10 points, 5 steals, and then 4 blocks last game. Pretty monstrous stat line there on both ends. He's just kind of the microcosm of what that team looks like. They pass the get off the bus test, as we like to say. Just a freakishly long and athletic team. All right, last game here on the outline, Big 12 showdown. Jim, going to you for this one. Iowa State hosting Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's season winding down here as their ineligibility is the clock is ticking there. Iowa State opened at -3. It's been bet up to -4. So a short home favorite at Hilton Coliseum. Any thoughts?
I would consider -4. I think I was thinking about this as a best bet, honestly, but I saw 4.5 pre-show and I wasn't willing to lay that. There's a very clear split for Iowa State this year. When they play teams that turn it over, they're really good. They're 13-3 straight up. When they play teams that take care of the ball, they're 7-6. The divide is at 19% turnover rate. And Oklahoma State is a team that turns it over. They're up at 21%. They turned it over, I think, 16 times in the first meeting. Now they have to go to Hilton Coliseum. I'm a little afraid of the road flip-flop angle, but I just think the fact that Oklahoma State turns the ball over, that gives Iowa State's offense actual transition opportunities, and they need that to score because in the half court, they're not very good. And Isaiah Brockington, he's been a superhero lately, averaging 24 and 6 over his last 5 games on 56% shooting. He's been unbelievable, All-American good. I would ride that wave with Hilton Coliseum at 24 and 6 for an NCAA tournament. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So with the matchup edge and Hilton Coliseum and Brockington playing that well, I'm a Cyclone boy here.
Yeah. Iowa State's locked in the tournament. They're tied with Kansas for the second most Q1 wins in the country right now. Kind of wild for the Clones here. Matt, Oklahoma State, I don't really know what to do. They feel like they're floating, but they've been really competitive despite not winning. 3 straight games have gone to overtime. Yeah. They're 1-2 in that span. In Big 12 play, 6 of their 10 losses are by 5 or less points. 2 of them are in overtime. They've played 6 overtime games this year overall. It's kind of a crazy team. They're playing every game pretty much close. As Jim mentioned, Iowa State did win that first matchup at Oklahoma State without Bryce Thompson for Oklahoma State. It was one of Iowa State's best offensive performances of the year. They were scorching hot. I think under is a pretty good play in this one. You have 2 bad offenses versus 2 very good defenses. And game 1 went to 73 possessions with overtime. So it's still a pretty slow game. I expect turnovers here. I expect ugliness. I kind of lean towards the Cowboys here on the number.
I kind of lean Cowboys too. And you're saying the under. Yeah, I think the last 4 would have gone under had that K-State game not gone to OT. So some trends in your direction. Again, we're not always endorsing trends, but they are relevant context, I think, in this scenario. Outline done. Chat mob round 2. Mr. McKeon, let's go.
No, not too much, which is nice here, guys, for us. Minnesota, Maryland, a Big Ten matchup. Jim will kick us off.
Yeah, this is a weird spot for Maryland. I think they got really hyped at home with the 2002 team in the building last game. SVP there introducing Gary Williams and Steve Blake. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a little more of a dud midweek effort against the bottom feeder in the league. And Minnesota has no quit. I'm kind of against the market here. They bet it up a little bit. I would take the Gophers +7 there.
I would too. I like 7.
Matthew, you get Chicago State our WAC team, Chicago State, versus Cal Baptist, the Cougars coming off a win against New Mexico State, which makes no sense still. 13.5 points. It's a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, this feels like an auto fade for Chicago State. Just there's no way they get up to play this game. I'm sorry. Like they had the video footage of them celebrating like it was their first ever win when they beat the Aggies. I think they were also down Corey Russian, excuse me. Pretty key starter for them. Not that players mean a ton for Chicago State. There's a bunch of random guys that kind of mix and match, but I like Cal Bap at home here. A team that's healthier now. Got Reed Nottage back to the lineup a couple games ago, I believe. So yeah, I would lean the Lancers.
I don't know. Chicago State's been competitive. I'd probably lean towards them. Presbyterian Gym at Campbell. Might as well cover every single. Have we touched on this one? Yeah, we did.
We touched
on this one. I didn't mean Presbyterian. I meant Charleston Southern at Asheville, but we are holstering that one till the end. Tennessee Tech is who we're going to talk right now against Austin Peay, Jim. Who do you like in this game?
I don't have a big love in this one, Kai. I don't really like either team, to be honest. Under is probably what I would go for. Postseason game, high stakes. Austin Peay is an under machine. I think if I had to bet it, that's where I would be on that game.
And then Matthew, one just came in from Ryan A. Houston Baptist at New Orleans, one of the last Southland games of the year.
Oh, I have no idea.
Spread.
I have zero idea. First glance feels high, but I like New Orleans, so not betting against them. Done. End of take.
Good.
Take Good. Concluded.
That's it for the chat mob. I think we should hit best bets.
I can start hockey pass right back to you. Sorry, I should have mixed up the outline order. It's bad when I have you chat mobbing and then kicking off best bets. But you're good. You got it, man.
That's awesome. All right. I'm checking the updated spread here. Well, not ideal. I'm taking Notre Dame -2.5. That is my best bet today. Would have loved to, but I'll take the hook for the boys. They're in a groove. Notre Dame is right now looking for a high seed in the ACC tournament, looking for a comfy bid to the dance. They just beat Georgia Tech by 34 points. I mean, my God, that was a beatdown.
Statement.
They're also 13-4 against the spread their last 17 games. They're kind of a covering machine right now, knock on wood. And Florida State is still mortally wounded. Caleb Mills is almost definitely out for this game. Anthony Polite has been said to have an outside shot at playing today. If he does, I can't imagine he's full strength. And Notre Dame defense can stand up to the rim / glass attack. That Florida State employs. I like Notre Dame -2.5. Matthew.
Love it. I'm going to conference tournament action for my two best bets today. Charleston Southern, Kai, you teased in the chat. I'm taking Chuck South. They are catching 10.5 against a UNC Asheville team that was, pretty damn good all year, but could be without Drew Pember today, former down transfer from Tennessee, who's been basically a cheat code in that conference. Won Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's had like 30 points in like 2 of the last 5 games. He's an absolute monster up front. And Charleston Southern's been a little bit better recently down the stretch. I think it's a great spot to back a team that severely underachieved, catching a pretty gaudy spread there in the opening round of the conference tournament. Second bet for me, another large-ish dog, Sacred Heart, the Pios, fading Derek Kellogg and LIU, who's been, they've been on fire down the stretch. I just think it's a great time to fade them. First game of conference tournament. They played really close in both meetings throughout the regular season. Kind of a similar situation as that Youngstown State handicap yesterday, where you had two teams that played close regular season, weirdly high spread to start. Just take the dog. So Sacred Heart and Charleston Southern. Jim.
I mentioned one of them, Indiana Rutgers under 132, locking that one in. And then St. Louis -2.5 on the road at Rhode Island. Rhode Island has lost 9 of their last 11. I am not very encouraged by them. Big thing, Kai, it's going to be, or it might be, a close game. St. Louis, top 25 in the country in free throw percentage. Rhode Island does not make free throws. One of the worst free throw shooting teams in the country. I think that's big. I think SLU can match their physicality. They've got a little more to play for, too, with the, they're not going to make the NCAA tournament as an at-large, but they want to make sure that they're at the 5. I think they've got a slight outside shot at getting the 4 seed and getting the double bye in the A10 tournament. So there's the motivation angle for them. I like the Bills on the road -2.5.
Love it. Those are hopefully winners. Don't want to say locks as there are no such things in this business. But hey, let's keep the old 4-0 march cruising right along. We are back tomorrow, same time, same place. We will remind you of that awesome BetRivers promo. Again, tomorrow's the last day to sign up, so please make sure to check that out.